Hey guys, so this is a video on how I manage my entire AI lead generation agency, all with Claude Code, with only spending about 5 to 10 hours per week. That is including a lot of steps, which includes new client onboarding. These are the steps that I manage. These are the things that I can manage directly inside my Claude Code business workspace. New clients onboarding, I can manage lead list scraping, I can manage lead list enrichment, qualification, and verification. And I can also manage generating smart lead campaign drafts, creating new offers, creating new email variations, handling the reply queue, and I'll be going over each and every one of these steps in detail and how I manage all of them with Claude Code. But these are the exact steps that I need to take care of day after day, week after week, both for myself, my campaigns, for getting me clients, as well as my client campaigns for getting them booked calls or new leads, so on and so forth. So handling the reply queue, generating calls booked, marking marking them properly in CRM, and so on, right? I will also go over which one of these, how many of these steps actually need my human eyes and human approvals, and I will also go over which one of them, like which one of these steps are completely automated, right? 5 to 10 hours per week is kind of stretching it because I don't even need that many hours. It's like every day I just need about 30 to 30 to 45 minutes on average to manage my all my campaigns, manage all my reply queues, manage new lead lists that I have to put into campaigns to make sure that they don't run out of leads in the middle of the week. I can manage creating new offers. I can manage creating new, handling the reply queue, generating calls booked, and so on. So all of that is connected end to end. So how I manage my cold outbound agency with Claude Code is essentially creating a client pipeline from the start. So whenever a client gets onboarded, and this could be, taken exactly um, as I'm specifying and done for you as well. Like for your agency, you can replicate the exact steps as well as for any new clients that you onboard, right? The first thing that you want to do is have data on what kind of prospects they want in their pipeline, right? Once you have that data, and this can be in the form of an onboarding call, for example, or an onboarding form, and so on, right? This could be a combination of these things depending on what their, how busy they are. If they do not have the time to fill out a complete onboarding form, you will probably do a long 60-minute or something onboarding call and get all of that data yourself on the call. Or you can do, if they don't have time for an onboarding call, you can just give them a form which is extremely detailed and contains all of the questions regarding their ideal customer avatars, so ICPs, um, and different industries that they want to target, what kind of people that have previously worked with, so their case studies, what kind of results they generated, so that will be quantitative results. So ICPs, case studies, previous work, including numbers and metrics that they track, uh, and any recognizable brands that they have worked with, which will be easier to mention in an email and get good replies from there, right? So managing client pipeline from the start, you need to have these kinds of data already. And the best way to actually manage all of these as a you know, to keep track of all of this data at all times for a particular client or for yourself is by building a knowledge base for the client in your Claude Code workspace. So what I mean by knowledge base is essentially having a series of integrations that connect your Claude Code workspace with different sources, different tools and platforms which contain these onboarding calls, onboarding forms, all of this data essentially. So let's say that you did the following things when you were onboarding a client, right? You have an onboarding form that you filled out in Google Forms. Um, you have an onboarding call that you performed, and this is in Fathom. And you also have a Google Drive folder, and this is shared with the client to make sure that they can drop any PDFs, any case studies, any numbers or metrics that they have already, you know, as a, in their internal database, that they can just give it to you as a resource that you can use in your cold email campaigns, right? So once they share the Drive folders, that's also a resource, a valuable resource for cold email offers, for creating good offers. So now you have all of this data scattered in different places, right? Thankfully, in this case at least, your form and Drive folder can be managed. So how do you manage everything? You manage it with integrations. One thing that you can do is essentially keep the form and the Drive folders, so all of the resources in one single workspace, one single integration tool. So this will be a Google Cloud integration that you can make, so that Claude remembers your Google account ID and some OAuth authentication, so that it can pull anything that you have in your Google Drive, Google Forms, Google Docs, Google Sheets, all of that data directly inside your Cloud Code workspace, right? So you can do that integration, and then you can do a Fathom API integration. So Fathom has a extremely good setup. You can use either their MCP or directly use their API. Both can be used to actually directly pull all of the Fathom transcripts, and Claude can analyze your transcripts, extract all of the relevant details, and build your knowledge base accordingly for the client. So assuming that you already have these integrations set up, you can use this to create your knowledge base for the client. Now that you have your knowledge base, essentially, you know, your onboarding process is extremely smooth, because you do not have to manually triage all these new pieces of knowledge about every single client. So you can directly summarize all of the data that you have gotten from that client into a neat little package, and directly move on to next steps, which is lead list scraping, enrichment, qualification, and verification, right? And creating new offers, right? This step should probably be before the campaign drafts, but that's okay. We can discuss that later, right? Um, so the next step will be essentially to do with scraping more leads. So what we are doing here is essentially, you know, making sure that our lead lists are exactly according to the client's wants. So the industries should be proper, the qualification criteria, for example, size of the company. For example, some clients only want to target 10 plus headcount companies, and a specific revenue range of companies. Although revenue range is not that easily trackable, you can still do that, right? So uh, lead lists are to be scraped via filters, so industry filters, qualification filters, and then you can use look-alike filters. So essentially, if you already have, for example, 5 to 10 companies through which client has said that they loved working with and they were able to generate good results for, you can use those company data, assuming that they are not extremely big companies. for example, Amazon, you won't be finding lookalike companies for something as big as Amazon.com. You will need to have a better lookalike company list in order for it to actually generate results. So lookalike companies, industry, qualification criteria, all of that. Once you have this, it will be extremely easy to scrape leads. So let's say you're scraping leads from AI-Ark. So AI-Ark.com, I can just go ahead and log in. If I go into the, hopefully it doesn't ask me for, okay, perfect. So if I go into the company filter, you'll see that you have lots of filters here, right? You have employee size, like I said, you have the location. So this can be a company HQ headquarters location. You can have company keywords. You can have industry filters. So for example, real estate, construction, medical practices, as you can see already, we have various, you can have products and services, for example, finance, consulting, startups, energy, so on. You can have company type as well. So private companies or public companies or partnership, non-profits, and so on. This is extremely useful for narrowing down the exact indices that you want to target for each client. Or if you're building many different offers, you will be able to scrape leads separately for these offers. The thing that I want to show you here is that it's extremely easy to actually connect platform like this to your Claude Code workspace as well, and directly either, so you can do two things when scraping leads. You can either go a slightly manual plus automated way of scraping, which is use AI to look at the API docs of the platform. And API docs are simply available somewhere. I only have 202 credit left, so I'll have to upgrade soon. But um, you'll see that I have my profile and plans and pricing dashboard API keys. Once I go into API keys, you'll be able to see my API key, and I don't want to go here because it's going to reveal my API key and I'll have to um, revoke it and generate a new one, because that will be a hassle. But this is where you get your API key. You put that API key into your Claude Code workspace, and then AI can actually just generate the industry filters, and you can then go back to company list or people list, put all those filters here, and simply export the data, right? That will be a simple way to scrape. The second way, which is more, higher leverage and more automated way, is essentially using the API to actually scrape the data itself. So it not only will it be generating the filters, the industry filters, the lookalike audiences, the qualification filters, all of that. Not only will it be putting those filters through the API, it will be getting all of that data through the API as well. We have to be extremely confident that it's pulling the right sort of data. So you can just do sort of spot check. The thing that I do here is essentially spot check, which is pull 50 rows of data through the filters from the API. I can go manually click through one by one into the companies and see that, okay, these do belong to the appropriate industry, and these are kind of ideal prospects that we can reach out to. And at least I target at least 90% of rows to be good. And if it's good, so 90% meaning 45 out of 50 rows should be the ideal prospects, ideal companies in your industry. Once you are satisfied with this, you can go ahead and give the instructions to AI to scrape everything, right? And once you do that, you'll be able to pull any amount of leads, right? So if I go into pricing section, for example, right now I'm at 15K credits per month. Obviously, I'm gonna have to um, subscribe to a higher plan. For example, let's say I'm going over to 60K credits. This will be $219 billed monthly, and essentially you will be able to pull anywhere from 0 to 60K credits through the API as well. You just have to be subscribed to the correct plan. Okay, so this is extremely high leverage, and lead scraping is really, you can just do instead of going over and selecting everything manually and exporting everything manually and waiting for the exports. All of that can be done in within the Claude Code workspace, and you can just leave that Claude Code window and just do something else. Meanwhile, your lead lists are already being scraped, right? And the third thing is lead list enrichment, qualification, verification. This is also like an aside. So once you already have a list for example, 10K leads, and these are raw leads, right? The difference between raw leads and the leads that you can directly upload to something like Smart Lead and start sending emails is essentially different steps needed here. So one thing that you have to do is essentially use the AI to go into each and every company website and see, according to the text, see whether they are your ideal customer or not, like they could be your ideal prospect or not. Once you are satisfied with this, your 10K list of leads will actually reduce to, let's say, 9K or 8, even less. If you did your due diligence properly when you were scraping, for example, if you did your due diligence here when you were spot checking properly, you will be actually able to make sure that you don't lose more than like 1,000 leads, right? So 10K to 9K qualified industry leads, right? Then the next step will be essentially filtering. So you don't want to send to a 10-person company. You don't want to send the same offer to a 10-person company as you send to a 50-person company or a 100-person company, right? Okay, is not valid if you've only scraped 10-person companies or 15-person companies or whatever. But if you're scraping different amount of headcounts, and this can be a headcount filter or a revenue filter as well. So you don't want to give these like same kinds of offers to company at different stages in their journey, right? If it's an already established company doing 5 million in revenue, you do not want to give like a performance based offer to a $5 million company. They will actually think that it's, you do not believe in your offer enough, that you're offering them a good retainer based pricing. So it's like a, you have to tweak your offer accordingly, right? So what you do right now is filter. So for example, if you want to run two offers simultaneously to start testing, what you want to do is split this leads list of 9K leads into two different buckets. For example, let's say for the first bucket you only have 3K leads, and the second bucket you have 6K leads, right? It doesn't have to be 50-50. If you want to be testing it, half and half, you can obviously do 50-50. So that will be 4.5K and 4.5K leads in separate campaigns for separate offers. But you can do any ratio that you're comfortable with, right? And all of this can be done in one simple step by you just saying to the AI that you want to filter these two lead lists by these lists of conditions, and it will do so, right? It will look at all of the company columns. So for example, in case of, for example, AI-Ark, you'll get columns like name, email, company name, company domain. These are the normal columns that will be present regardless of what source of data you're getting. The other thing that you'll get is, these are the additional columns that you'll get, which is LinkedIn description of the person as well as LinkedIn description of the company, right? LinkedIn description of the person, of the company, and then you'll also get, let's say, a LinkedIn recent post of the person. You can get company industry tags. You can get company description, and this is like the self-made description that a company's social media people or other people who are actually making these profiles on different platforms like LinkedIn actually put. So these are kind of a good source to understand what kind of things that this company does. And these are some of the important other information other than uh, you know this is the mandatory information, right? Without this information, you cannot build any sort of campaigns, any sort of cold email lists properly. Other other than the mandatory fields, you'll also have many different fields that actually give you supplementary information for you to actually personalize the messaging, your offer, according to these different columns in the lead list, right? So you can filter the offer and then you can generate personalization at scale with the AI for these two different offers. And you can obviously take some inspiration from what I've previously talked about personalization in, by previous videos. I can put those links in the description as well, or you can see them here as cards. But you can generate personalization at scale. And the thing with how you can leverage Claude Code for all of this is essentially you can set up integrations for enrichment and qualification and verification of lead lists in just one go. Once you have that set up, and it will take around 1 hour for you to set up everything in Cloud Code, and then from then onwards you can just run it with any kind of lead list in like a single natural language command, and you won't have to do anything else, and the AI will take care of everything, and you can do anything else in the meanwhile. You can take care of something else in the meanwhile and in a different tab, right? And I can show you my Cloud Code workspace as well, but for now, after you have generated personalization, okay, you don't generate personalization first. First, you should actually go ahead and verify your email. So for verification, you can use something like Million Verifier, and this is like an extremely cheap way of, for example, 50K emails can only be verified for $89, and these only take uh, every verified email found is only the thing that is charged. If they found a risky email, they don't charge for it. So it's an extremely cheap way of making sure that you only you reduce your bounce rates, you protect your reputation, and so on. And then you can generate the personalization, right? So all of this can be set up in about 1 hour within your Cloud Code workspace. And you can do some other stuff as well, which is not as important, but it could be important if you're using certain variables in your copy, right? You can generate company name casualization. So, for example, if a company is named ABC Marketing Solutions, you can just use ABC instead. And notice that I've performed two different transformations here to the company name. When you refer to them in cold email copy, you want to sound like a human, right? You do not want to sound like a robot here. So you do two different transformations. You remove all of this filler stuff. So you remove, oops, you remove filler stuff, filler suffixes from company names, and then you decapitalize the company names as well. So you won't be writing something like ABC Solutions in your cold email copy. That will sound as if you've automated it, right? And it will be directly deleted. Nobody will read past that if you are doing that. Nobody will actually reply to you. So instead of saying that, you can just say ABC instead, if that is the company name, right? And if you're reaching out to an owner of the company or decision maker in a company like this, you don't need to obviously spell out the whole company name. They will understand that you're talking about their company, right? So this is like one small integration that you can do that will be like another step here. For example, you can just go into step number 5 and do a company name casualization. But depending on exactly what kind of industry you're targeting, you can scrape more data about a company as well. For example, you can scrape case studies from their website and so on. So that is like one thing that you can do when making lead lists. The other thing is like creating emails. So you want to generate emails, you want to generate offers. So remember that we collected data from the client at the start, and we built a knowledge base for the client, right? So now this becomes extremely easy for you to generate what kinds of offers they like, your client will like. So essentially, you can just go into your Claude Code workspace and ask in natural language, look at all the data we have on this client, and you can name your client here, right? And tell me their pain points, their problems, solutions, and help me generate good offers, good cold traffic offers for um, 3 campaigns. So you'll be generating 3 different offers, right? Um, Essentially, the problem here is that AI is not perfect, and you will get some extremely bogus results when you try to generate offers like this. So you need a human in the loop here, right? Once it does generate like 3 offers, you will be able to go back and see that, okay, these offers make sense. And I've said this already in multiple videos already, but offer is consisted of like 3 different things. The first thing is the deliverable, so what you'll be getting them. So for example, for a web design or branding agency, you'll be getting them a world-class website that displays their brand properly and so on. So there will be a deliverable, there will be a timeline. So how much time will it take for them to give this to you completed? And why is it better than their competitors? So it's like a unique mechanism that you have to clarify as well if you need to. And of course, the final thing is risk reversal, a guarantee, so that you can actually woo the client on just a money back guarantee. So if you don't reach these particular guarantees in a certain amount of time, 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 8 weeks or 12 weeks or so on, depending on what you're offering, you can actually offer them a complete money back. So if you have this offer, it's a completely cold ready cold traffic offer. And for example, in my case, I offer anywhere from 10 to 20 qualified sales opportunities for my clients. And this is all through cold outbound. It could be higher than 20 as well. It could be lower than 20, depending on what are the industry filters that they want us to be targeting with, right? So you need a human in the loop in this step. As I've said before this, we did a lot of things so far. We made a knowledge base, we did some onboarding, we did some lead scraping, we did some enrichment. Now we're generating offers. This is the first step here, after like 4 or 5 steps that we need to actually look over through our own eyes and make sure that everything looks okay, right? So creating offers is one step, creating email variations is another step, that you want to be able to look through your own eyes that everything makes sense here, right? You do not want AI to be generating these things. And even if you do use AI to generate email variations, you want it to be in a way that makes sure your emails do not sound robotic, monotonous. Like, it doesn't sound as if you have automated it and sent that same thing to 5,000 other people on that same day, and you're doing it in a way that makes it seem like a one-on-one conversation instead of an automated blast, right? So next is handling the reply queue. And this is also an integration that I really love, because okay, I will go above this because it's hard to keep track where we were. So handling the reply queue is another thing that I really love using Claude Code for. Essentially, the way that we handle replies right now, any normal cold email agency or AI lead generation agency will handle replies is essentially through something called a master inbox. Or if you are using Smartly, if you're using Instantly, it will be called a unibox. So this will have, for example, if you're running 15 campaigns, let's say you already have like a couple of clients, you're running like 15 campaigns in parallel. 15 active campaigns means that you'll be having at least, 2 to 3 to anywhere from 10 leads per day that you have to reply to. And you have to reply to within a certain SLA, which is service level agreement that you have with yourself. So you want to be replying in like the least amount of time possible. So 1 minute if possible, or 5 minutes if possible. So less than 1 minute, less than 5 minute reply time is extremely essential if you don't want the leads to go cold. um, you also want to be warm calling and otherwise. But let's say for now you're only replying to emails. The problem here is that, when you are making sure to reply, um, you don't know if there's a positive reply, or there's a, out of office reply, or there's an information request kind of reply, or if there's a reply that says just unsubscribe or opt out, or do not email me again, something of the sort. And you'll be surprised how many times that you miss a good reply, or a good lead, if you don't pay attention. So what you want to do here is build an integration. For example, for me, I have built a Slack integration that alerts. So I have um, a complete service, a Python service running on a server that I own, that actually subscribes to Smart Leads webhook. And what it does is, essentially, whenever a reply comes through from any of these 15 campaigns, it will analyze whether it's a positive reply or not. And positive reply, like I said, can fall into different categories. The first category is info request category. So they ask you how much does it cost, or how does it work, those kinds of questions. The other can be a direct meeting request. So, these are the kinds of positive replies that you have to take care of immediately. So that service will, analyze that Smart Leads webhook, and this will be done all within 60 seconds, less than 60 seconds. And this is essential because you don't want to lose the lead, right? You don't want the lead to go cold. So this will analyze, and this will give me a notification in Slack, in a Slack channel, as to whether we have to reply or not. If this is a positive reply, I want to be able to reply within 5 minutes. So as soon as I saw the reply, I will be going ahead and doing it. Or your appointment setter, if you have it, you can go ahead and make sure that they reply. So managing replies is essential. The thing with replies is, however, that most people, almost 80 to 90% of people, won't convert in one reply, won't convert into booked calls in one reply. So you have to follow up with people, right? And following up is essentially, could be a week long job, or could be a 14-day job, and so on. So you have to follow up with people constantly. It could be per day, or it could be a day in between that you take a break, and you keep emailing people with either some value packed, or just check in with people as to whether they saw your video, or they saw your lead magnet that you provided earlier or not, stuff like that, right? And following up with people that you emailed, I don't know, 8 days ago, and following up with all of those people that you emailed 8 days ago, will be like around, like, I don't know, 20 plus people. uh, so you'll have like a lot of like potential leads that you have not booked a call with yet, waiting for your reply again, waiting for your follow-ups again. So this is where the Claude Code integration of handling the reply queue comes in. Essentially what it does is, you can just say that, give me reply queue for this client, and it will go ahead and look at all of the active campaigns for that client in the past. Or you can also specify a timeline here. So in the past 14 days. So if you have been following up with people with good leads, like actual good leads, um, you want to be able to follow up until, like, I don't know, 7 to 14 days at least. I sometimes follow up with people for even 30 days, because what I'm going to show you, like, makes it extremely easy for me. It will go ahead and look at all of those replies. Once again, we did integrate Smart Leads API into Claude Code Workspace, right? So it will go ahead and bring me all of those replies, and already generate um, new replies, new replies for that accordingly, by reading through the entire email thread. It will do all of that. It will show me what it's going to be sending. Once I approve, it will automatically send it just from the workspace. So I don't have to go ahead and go into the master inbox and click through each and every single lead and then look at the email thread again and then draft a new reply again and so on and so forth. It just automatically does it for me, right? So this is a extremely high leverage thing, and instead of spending just 5 hours a week, so approximately 1 hour just replying to people, I only have to spend 30 minutes a day. And this is not even 30 minutes, this is like 10 minutes a day. You can just generate, you can just draft new replies, and you can send those replies after approving it with your own eyes. I remember we always want a human in the loop whenever there's email or email copy is concerned. You do not want to send something weird accidentally, because AI can make mistakes in this regard. So you can do all of that in 10 minutes a day, and you can do it for unlimited campaigns, right? So this is one of the things that I love about automating, like love automating. Finally, we have generating calls booked and marking them properly. So essentially, whenever you get a good reply that says that, okay, let's discuss this, so you want to be able to send them a calendar link, or you can send, whoops, calendar link, or you can send them like three different times. So do you you can say something like, will Monday 3 p.m. or Tuesday 12 p.m. suit or work? You can send these things, and you can include uh, time zones as well if you want, if you're dealing with different time zones. But assuming that you send something like this, once they reply, okay, Monday 3 p.m. works, right? Once they reply this, you want to be able to capture this and go ahead and book them in anyway. You can either do this manually by looking through whenever a good reply comes in that, okay, let's discuss this on Monday at 3 p.m. You can make that like calendar invitation by yourself, or you can use AI to actually go into your Google Calendar. Remember, um, we established a Google integration here when we were onboarding the client anyway, right? So we already have access to their calendar, and you also have stuff like Calendly set up. You can also set up Calendly integration or cal.com integrations and so on, to make sure that um, you can just book them in like automatically. You don't have to worry about going into the calendar and booking them one by one, right? And this is like extremely high leverage, and this just automatically books you calls as if you had to do like nothing at all, right? Marking them properly in CRM is the same thing. Once they are actually in your pipeline, they have booked a call with you, you can just go ahead in your CRM, whatever CRM you're using. If you're using HubSpot or close.com or Pipedrive and so on, you can just go ahead and just filter that particular CRM to call booked and so on. So yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. How to use AI for lead generation, like managing your entire lead generation agency from like scratch. um, One thing I can show you as a bonus is the different Claude Code skills that I have, and I manage on a day-to-day basis, that do most of these things from the things that we talked about here. They do most of these things. So if I show you my Claude Code workspace, do I have to make this bigger? I hope not. This is clear enough, right? Uh, okay. If you go into the .claude folder, you'll see you have a folder called skills. So you'll see that I have a client onboarding form skill. I have a business integration skill, which is used for managing all of those connections with Google and Calendly and CRM and so on. Remember? So, and then I have, for example, enrichment skills, Google Doc, sync skills, scraping skills, proposal generation skills, landing page skills for generating new case studies on the landing page, scraping skills, smart lead analysis skills, and most importantly, reply queue skills. So quick reply skill is essentially, it's gonna go ahead and handle all my replies for me and generate new draft replies for me, and I can just approve all those replies and get all of that sent over through the Smart Lead API automatically, right? And as you'll see here, I also have folders for managing my funnel, content, assets, plans, scripts, research, all of that. So, yeah, this is all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more ideas, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to make videos around that as well. If you want an in-depth Claude Code workspace, just comment below, and I will be happy to do that. Workspace tour, or if you want to see me live do any of these steps in Claude Code, I'd be happy to do that as well. Let me know, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to post a video a day so that I have so many ideas to explore right now, and I'm happy to make a video on each of these topics. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.